Nice spots and cheap pops, ladies and gentlemen. It is Silicon Steve Valley. I'm hosted with Vladi Dottie. And we are back with just a week removed. Vladi Dottie, how good was Logan Paul Roman Reigns headlining this Saudi Arabia event?
I gotta say, I was blown away by this match. You and I discussed in our last podcast, I made the comment, I'm not going to watch any of this, and because I really haven't watched any Crown Jewels since like the original one. After getting like a vibe for like what the show is and like the way it went, I was never really drawn to it again. But I was like, I saw enough chatter about this particular match. And I gotta say, for the guy's third match, Logan Paul is really impressive. He gets it. He works at it. He gets the psychology of it. I mean, he's like a virtuoso. Like it's really impressive to see what this guy is doing. Love the match through and through. I mean, I was even impressed with how the crowd was buying into it. I mean, it was like they forgot where they lived for like 20 minutes.
Don't worry, the ladies will figure that out shortly
impressive. After. Like, I'm sure reality started as soon as those last fireworks went off.
Oh no, I'm showing my ankles. Oh no.
Yeah,
well, there goes my vagina.
Yeah, but they put on just a great WWE match. Loved Roman's like facial expressions in the match, how he was just underestimating him. And they just kept on going back to that whole one punch is all it takes. And you could you're watching Heyman and he's a bit nervous and you could tell that he feels like Roman's being a little too braggadocious. Like there's just such great psychology amongst the three of those guys and how that match just evolved. And I got to say, man, that buckshot lariat was impressive. Hit it beautifully, right? The spot through the table, he nailed Roman just beautifully.
Yeah. And streaming
and recording it, streaming it.
Yeah.
This was really just something like we haven't really seen before. I think it actually saved Logan Paul with it being in Saudi Arabia. I think it might have been a little bit different with the crowd in America. Yeah, and that might have thrown him off a little bit. But this was like, all right, hey, they're going to cheer for you. You're going to be the babyface. They're going to hate Roman because Roman's just going to be that much of a jerk. No matter what culturally speaking is different, everybody understands and recognizes a jerk. And Roman was that in that match. And he just played it up beautifully, just so arrogant, beautifully Samoan arrogant there. And it was just great. So really enjoyed the match. And I actually ended up doing a write-up on it on our Facebook page.
I did see that.
And I said, this might be a match. I felt this is a match. Like if you're trying to introduce somebody, like, especially like a woman that might know Logan Paul, and then it sort of feeds because it's like if more women watch wrestling, more men watch wrestling, going to the shows, it becomes this thing. Like that would be it because they know him, they know of him. Look at him up. He has $35 million to his name. This guy is a multimillionaire over and over, and he put on a classic with Roman. Absolutely love the match, man.
Yeah, Logan Paul. He and Triple H was actually on his podcast shortly after the SummerSlam match, and Logan Paul, when Triple H said it, he's like, very few guys have picked this up like you have ever in the history of the business. He said Kurt Angle was one of them. They were talking about guys. He compared Logan Paul to Kurt Angle in terms of his ability to adapt to what they do. And the guy, look, he's very athletic. Let's be honest. He's very tough. And the fact of the matter is he did a lot of really shitty things how to get famous. Everybody knows it. He's actually apologized for it. Believe me if you want. I don't necessarily. However, he seems like every of his podcasts, recent ones from the last couple of years, he seems like he's trying to be the classiest dude he can be. He really is. He's not my cup of tea. I did like how Roman said, he brought up a couple other YouTubers. He brought up Mr. Beast, my daughter loves. But what Logan Paul has done has been nothing short of amazing and one of the most incredible things we've seen in a very long time in sort of a new person coming into this. This is far beyond Jay Leno or Bad Bunny. Probably not the two best examples. But the other part of this, though, is that, Logan Paul is already a guy who doesn't need the fame and fortune. He already has it. And you got to wonder if he'll ever be a full-time player enough to be a major impact player where he is actually the face of the company. He's doing 100 dates a year. I don't think we'll ever see that version of Logan Paul because it's not easy to be a WWE superstar. And everybody knows that. So Logan Paul, though, I think if you were a betting man, though, he will have a title run at some point, though. He's just too good. The question is, to your point, how does the United States fan react to him now? Because people are starting to take notice. Okay, this guy can go. The other part is, as great as Logan Paul is, Roman Reigns had to carry that match. He needed to be the ring general in there. And I thought was a great example of just how great Roman has come over not just the last 7 or 8, 9 years since the Shield broke up. Let's talk about just since he turned heel. What he was 2.5 years ago and what he is now. And now it's Solo Sikoa. And you have Sami Zayn, who obviously is becoming a phenomenon in WWE right now. This storyline is as fresh and as new and as exciting as it has ever been. And this is one of the great championship runs we've ever seen. So those are the two things I wanted to take notice. And Logan Paul, to your point, the guy's a natural. And I hope he gets well soon because he did bust his knee up, so he will not be around anytime soon. He may even miss WrestleMania. We'll see what happens with that. But if he does not make it, we'll certainly wait for him to come back. But it sounds like he tore his ACL and a possible MCL sprain. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a good point made. And really shows you, like, this guy went all out, tore those tendons in that match. And he's young. He's very athletic. I mean, he's doing incredible move sets in that match. Like, and put it all together. And it's really a credit of the program that, he's tall. He's like built. Like, it's believable.
Well, he was out jumping what you saw Montez Ford do. I mean, the height that he would get on some of these jumps, the buckshot lariat was great.
Yeah.
Let him deliver like 100 and I'll start saying he has the best one in the business, though. Let's slow down, It's certainly better than CM Punk's.
Oh, it's definitely better than Hangman's. Easily.
Depends on which one. There's a couple of buckshot lariats of Hangman's you haven't seen.
I've yet to see Hangman do one better than the one that Logan Paul did.
All right, well, let him do more than one. That's all I'm saying. Let's see how good he is consistently. Jesus. That's like giving Kevin Moss the all-time Yankee award because he had a good couple of weeks. No one's going to get that reference. Nobody's going to get that reference, Vladdy Dottie, but you do.
I do. It was a terrible reference.
No shit. So, but it again, this is one of the more exciting things. And to your point, I wanted to bring this up too. You just mentioned it. The other thing about the Crown Jewels, they've only been good the last couple. They were clunkers after clunker after clunker after clunker. The Crown Jewels were not good originally. Now it seems like they're making it into almost like a WrestleMania event. The ass kissing of the royal Saudi family is nauseating. But the other part of it, you can say, yes, they're making a lot of money at it, but also WWE is putting women in powerful positions performing for these people. And Stephanie McMahon to her credit, has been a monster feminist and a monster before women's rights and for pushing women forward in the world, not just in professional wrestling, but in general. So those aspects of it, are they trying to move Saudi Arabia along? Is that part of it? Or are they just playing ball to make money? Now that Vince isn't there, there is a party that, well, maybe she's trying to do real good over there. As long as she doesn't show any part of her body other than her face.
Hey, man, different strokes for different folks, right? But their money's green.
Saraya Law, she's not even in our company anymore. So
it's her revolution.
Oh my goodness. Well, anything else from the crown jewel that you want to talk about? Nothing really was too eye-popping. Braun Strowman tweeted out something, got some heat backstage apparently, saying that he and the Omos match was better than any of the flippy floppy matches that there are. He said something like that. And I'm just like, are you really bragging about you and Omos, you big fucking idiot? Of course, if he was here, I wouldn't say that. But dude, nobody gave a shit about your match. The Saudis might have, because you guys are so big.
Did you watch it? Like, that's the whole thing. Yeah.
How control your narrative, dude, bud?
You got to go there. He knew when to jump out. As it, like, because some, he knew that when to duck out, because it's the key to life.
Whoa.
Some people hold on to things.
Strowman Braun. Adam shares. Hey, God bless him, man. He's a big ass millionaire that can kick most people's asses. So 7'1" destroyer. So God bless him, but he's not a guy that I consider a very insightful human being in the world of professional wrestling, is all I'll say. And we're moving on to AEW. In the world of AEW, we are just about, 13 days? No, I'm sorry. We are 6 days from All Elite Wrestling's Full Gear. And the promos were really heating up this past Wednesday night on AEW Dynamite. Vladiar, there were a couple that caught your eye you wanted to talk about. What are the promos? We have MJF. We have Saraya and, I was going to say Paige, but Saraya and Britt Baker. We had Moxley. And, of course, we had Jeff Jarrett, which we just have to talk about. But a promo-heavy episode, still a lot of great wrestling. I think AEW is starting to build some momentum to where I'm interested, even though what have you. But what are some of the things you wanted to bring up in these particular promos, which I thought all of them were fascinating in their own way?
Yeah, I really love the MJF at the podcast promo. Yeah, unless he's swerving us big time, this is, to me, like him taking the obvious steps to becoming a babyface. Just the way he's cutting these promos and like referring to people from his past. But more importantly, the way he's referring to like Moxley, and sort of he hates him, but there's a respect there. And, if he was a total heel, there would be no respect whatsoever. But he is drawing that line there, right? And I just loved how he sort of went through his history and talked about how he got here. And you almost forget some of the things, like how he's been there since day one.
Absolutely.
And, and it's like he's been through some interesting ups and downs here. And finally, he has a legitimate moment where he can go and grab that world title and be the guy. So I really liked where he was coming from in this promo. It set it up nicely for what Moxley went and responded with, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And I just love where they're going with this feud between these two guys.
Me too. I'll tell you what. The other part of MJF did, he said that the spotlight was always taken off him. When he fought Cody Rhodes, it was about a neck tattoo. When I forget what was the reasoning for when Moxley beat him. I think Moxley using an illegal move or what have you, which I love how he's keeping that kayfabe because Moxley did cheat in that match to win. Make no mistake.
Right.
But and also his big return, the press conference. Everyone's talking about the press conference. So it felt real. And you feel like after he was gone, when he came back, cheered no matter who he stood up against. He was standing in front of CM Punk at All Out before it became Brawl Out. And the fans were cheering for MJF to the point he had to give them the middle finger so they would stop cheering it. In CM Punk's hometown, they're cheering MJF, his arch rival. So this is MJF's time, and it's great. And I loved how he said he was he loved pro wrestling the way he did. It was a really great promo. It's what MJF does. The guy is the very best in the game already at it. He might be the best wrestler on the planet right now. And I've called him the most perfect wrestler ever. So I'm with you. And I do like how he brought up some of the less admirable parts of AEW. And the worst, of course, we're talking about Cody's neck tattoo. Thing's a disaster still to this day. Even in WWE, it's a disaster. And we know that.
I loved his words for Jericho.
What did he say to Jericho? He was always stealing a spotlight for a year.
Yeah. That was where he got kind of adamant about like he sort of like had less of an issue with the press conference and the neck tattoo. Like the Jericho thing was like the thing that irked them the most.
Well, he's the one who did the song and dance with him, so it was one of those dudes.
Yeah.
So yeah, MJF's great. And then you have Mox come back out, and he comes out, and Regal's looking like he's scowling at him a little bit. I don't know if it's like in reverence because he's so violent and so mysteriously violent. You, my little candied yam, I just want to gobble you up. What were your impressions of Moxley's promo? And Moxley has been cutting some of the best promos of his career the last couple months. I mean, you can go back to the ones with Punk, and the two that he cut were great, especially the one with the weak body, weak ego, fragile, whatever. And then the promo he cut the night after All Out, and the couple of the promos he's cut since. Moxley's been on a roll. This was no exception. Your impression of John Moxley cutting a promo toward young Maxwell?
Yeah, it was great because it was like almost like school was in session with this, unhinged veteran that's the world champ currently, and he's willing to do whatever to keep it. And, he's sort of establishing that where, he set up his history with Regal a bit, and he's like mirroring his history to MJF's, and they're using like basically Regal as the hinge. Like this is where it's almost like they're in the same learning tree. And, I just liked how Moxley addressed him almost like a student, but again, respect going his way. And you know what I thought was intriguing too, is he brought this up. He referred to Newark being his hometown. And it's almost like they're playing it up like the tri-state area belongs to like MJF more now.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a babyface nod, I thought, sort of planting the seed. And I especially liked when he turned to the camera and basically was really honest and telling him he definitely is not a devil. And you could tell Moxley was telling the truth. And you could see in those crazy eyes of his that he's been in some crazy situations that MJF can't even fathom. And that really came across to me. So I'm sure there was a lot of illegal activities involved with the young Moxley, especially. But this is where we're at. And honestly, this is like a major deal. Like MJF is right. This is a big deal, especially if he wins. He's basically calling it that moment, almost like when, say, Hogan beat the Iron Sheik. You're going to remember this is what he's telling you. So a lot's at stake. I'm digging where they're going with this. It's definitely been one of my more favorite parts of the show.
I'm surprised it's not your overall favorite. I think they've done. I mean, but are you surprised?
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
But you have Moxley, who's having one of the best years of his career, arguably the best year of his career. And you have MJF, just this dynamo who's been just absolutely untouchable when he's been on TV. Untouchable. Even when he was battling with Wardlow, you would make the argument that Wardlow storyline was, and that climax of the Wardlow storyline was the most interesting thing on their television at the time. And that's with Punk and Hangman going. I mean, because we didn't know what Hangman meant in a couple of his promos. That's probably why. But we didn't, that feud didn't really capture my imagination the way MJF and Wardlow did, because that Wardlow one took a long time to build to that climax. So MJF has been the moneymaker. He's been the best thing on the show for a long time. And I hope to see it, but I don't know. I think this is a perfect opportunity for a double turn. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a perfect opportunity to have Moxley and overall the BCC turn heel. Maybe you leave Brian as a baby face. BCC turns heel and Mox turns MJF turns babyface. You could have one of the biggest double turns in the history of the business. The biggest one, I would say, since Stone Cold and Bret Hart. That's just what I think, because you got a lot of guys in the BCC that are probably better off as heels in some respects. Certainly William Regal, you can make that argument. Moxley, we haven't seen him as a full-blown heel yet. The guy can be a real son of a bitch. Cesaro can do that. Yuta, I don't know. He's like a loaf of bread. Do we really care? Just kidding, Wheeler. We love you. We love Philly.
I don't.
Either one or just the one?
Neither, really.
We love you, Philadelphia. I'll be in Philadelphia this Saturday night. Not for Full Gear. I'm so sorry.
Is that true? You're breaking my heart on a live podcast.
I already texted you that, sir.
I still thought there was hope for us, but obviously there isn't.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
There's hope.
You mean there's a chance? But in all likelihood, I'll probably be watching Full Gear the next morning at my house. Unfortunately, but we'll see what happens. The next day, anyway. Not morning, probably in Philly till the morning. This is irrelevant. Next promo, and we have to talk. If we're going to talk promos, we got to talk Saraya and Britt Baker. I thought this was an incredible segment. Baker, it was a very difficult spot Baker put Saraya in, because when Saraya came out and she got her big applause, she's totally cleared everyone. It was fantastic. But it didn't take Britt Baker too long to turn that crowd against that woman. Because one thing AEW fans, you can tell they're protective of, is the AEW originals that helped build the house that Saraya is now calling hers. And Britt Baker has been, and it's not even remotely in conversation. Britt Baker is the most important woman in AEW history, and it's not even close. Not even remotely close. There's not even, barely if anyone argues differently, you're not paying attention and you haven't paid attention to this product. Britt Baker may have gone stale toward the end of her title run, but the fact of the matter is this woman put this division on her back and kept it afloat in many respects the last couple of years. And so she comes out and brings up how Saraya is another one that's coming in, trying to take AEW over. And Britt Baker was there busting her ass since the beginning. So there you go. But Saraya came back and talked about her journey, not including in WWE. She didn't use some of the best words when she said, "You don't know what it takes to be a superstar." That was just like, ooh, that's not going to go over well. You don't know what it takes to be a superstar, darling. Sweetheart. Paige is one of the 14 women that say sweetheart after they say something snarky. But what was your impression of these two women? I thought this was one of the best promo segments for women all year. It might be the best. I can't think of another promo.
Yeah, it's the promo of the year for women AEW women's wrestling. Saraya nailed it. She put herself out there. She was totally vulnerable. Brought up a lot of uncomfortable things. And
was she embarrassed on national? How was she embarrassed? I forget.
Well, of course, we all know how she was embarrassed, and we all understand the injury that she went through and how she was basically on the way to something major and got derailed many different ways. So, I mean, but it was a passionate promo. I give her a ton of credit. And you know what? It's good that she's back. You know, I just really hope that she's truly took all the proper steps here. It'd be a shame if something happened, you know, but I'm just hoping she's okay. She's going to be okay after this match for sure. And going forward. Yeah.
I am with you 100%. Obviously we want her to be healthy no matter what. But that was I don't even remember a women's promo this year that was much better in the WWE. Well, we know SmackDown's probably not going to have any, but Raw, they had some good ones. I mean, and a couple with Becky Lynch might come to mind, but I don't know if it was better than this one. This might have been the best women's promo segment of the year so far. And I mean, not just in AEW, I mean in wrestling in general.
Right.
Or when
very well Cargill. So it set the table. Set the table beautifully for their match here at Full Gear. I'm totally into it now. I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a good one. Should be a good moment again.
Yeah, and we'll be back with a Full Gear preview by the end of the weekend. We cannot wait. By the end of next weekend, we should say. Vladdy Dottie, you have a 1-match lead now going into this one for the big one?
Yeah.
Wow. Big one on the line. I have to win by 2. I have to win 2 by 2 matches at Full Gear. AEW used to be my event, but Vladdy Dottie has been cleaning my clock at AEW as of late. The Purple Nurple is on the line one more time.
Totally.
Vladdy Dottie trying to win it 2 times in a row. Only becoming the second person of all time to win the Purple Nurple twice in a row. The other one was me. Nobody else has besides us two, if you win.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
We're definitely in the toughest division. We're both competing in the toughest division.
Yeah.
That we know.
Sure. For sure. If either one of us were in the other division, we'd green screen. But anyway, one last promo of the night I wanted to talk about. That's right. It's JEFF. JARRETT. Double J, Jeff Jarrett. The Last Outlaw. What an abomination the end of that segment was. What happened there? Jarrett was cutting an okay enough promo. It wasn't anything special, but it was good. He's a professional. He knows what he's doing. And then right when he's about to get to the crux of his statement about how he's going to challenge Sting and Darby Allin at Full Gear with Jay Lethal. Right before he gets there, he's like, are you wanting me down? You don't want me down. And they started talking again. Then the dude wound him down again. And then I thought this was part of the show, but then the dude just ran away and made Jarrett look stupid. Like, what was the point of that? Like, why didn't he hit him over the head with a guitar, for Christ's sake? That would have made, because it made no sense. It's just a waste of time. What'd you do that for? I didn't even know it was a work. I thought it was a shoot because that was so stupid. But apparently it was a work. I don't know. Work, shooty, shoot, work.
I hated all this, man. I cannot stand Jeff Jarrett. Like one of our first, I think one of our first podcasts, it was years ago, where like we dissected Jeff Jarrett, and I was just really open and honest, like poor man's Ric Flair, et cetera, et cetera. And let me put it this way. If we cut to the chase, I never really associate Jeff Jarrett with success. I put him towards like, the tail end of WCW. When I'd look for an alternative to WWE at points, I'd turn on Impact or TNA, and it was garbage. It was really garbage. Like I couldn't watch it. So now I'm watching him on AEW, and I'm associating these things with that part of the show. He said he was being professional, but during his promo, he makes 2 references to WWE, one being Braun Strowman, and then he made a comment about not being in the Banana Nose Circus anymore. Which, okay, is a shot at Triple H.
Why would he do that?
What was more of a circus? What Triple H is doing right now, or Jeff Jarrett with Dixie Carter and Hall and Nash running things? What was more of a circus, Jeff? So I really am not liking his association with AEW. I don't like the fact that he's on screen and actually has a match at Full Gear.
High profile match too.
Fan. And this is really, this to me is just not a wise move by Tony Khan. If anything, and that was the weird thing. He turned heel immediately the first episode that he was on 2 weeks ago, makes Darby Allin bleed the hard way with the guitar. Then about an hour later, Tony Khan's announcing that Jeff Jarrett's not only all elite, but all elite and has an office job after he just went and turned heel. So it's like it's sort of funny to me. And I'm like, I'd rather just see if Tony Khan said, you know what, I'm hiring Jeff Jarrett because he knows how to run a wrestling company. I can learn some things from him. It's good to have this sort of resource on our team. I would get it. But the moment he's putting him in front of the camera, he loses me. It's just I associate it with failure. So I'm really annoyed that he's even an on-screen talent at this point. It's really pointless to me.
I'm with you. I don't get it. But then again, look what happened with badass Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn is one of the most popular acts you have on your thing. So maybe he's trying to catch lightning in a bottle again. Like something like Slap Nuts will get popular. I'm
not making that reach with this. There's no way.
Well, Jeff Jarrett has to save some face because he had the old Ric Flair loss a couple weeks back. How's that going for him?
That's the reason.
I can't go out like that. I can't have Ric Flair, stupid and drunk and born again, beating me like that.
Oh, yeah. I was doing some research for the show earlier, and I caught this sort of aspect of it. I was looking at, I was like, you know what? I'm sort of intrigued with, and I'm going to do this to the WWE roster as well. But I was comparing like Logan Paul to wrestlers at AEW, and like who would I hire if I had to hire one of them, or like who would I hire instead of him? So I'm looking through it. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me go double check before, since I was doing the AEW one. I'm like, let me go check the Ring of Honor roster. The Ring of Honor roster, if you go to their website, hasn't changed since the company got sold.
Yeah,
they haven't updated it at all.
There's another thing on their website. Yeah, no, there was another thing on their website. It was like results from like 2 weeks prior. Like they didn't update. It's a poorly run web. If you've ever gone on an AEW website, it's terrible. That's what it was. It was the rankings. The championship rankings weren't done in like a week and a half. They had someone who had just lost and they didn't and dropped out. It was not updated standings, basically. I mean, come on. You're supposed to be better than this, Tony. Come on now. You're showing that you never ran a wrestling company before. That's what you're looking like. You're looking like this is your first rodeo, and it is. I'm telling you, man, that shit didn't happen when Cody was there. Sorry, I'm saying it. Has it?
You're right. No, I agree, man. So yeah, just these are some observations by you and I, and this is what Jeff Jarrett brings out of me. I want to give, I'm trying, and listen, I even texted, I said, hey, there's like more things that I liked on AEW Dynamite this week than usual, but then that thing, Jeff Jarrett being that thing and that anchor of my attention, just it sticks out. And then just like him being the last outlaw, and he's crazy. He's gonna hit whoever with his guitar, make him bleed from the head. He's crazy, like I don't care. And then and he's teaming up with Satnam Singh, who I know wasn't a good basketball player, and he's not a good wrestler. He's a freak of nature.
I thought he did a really good job of putting Satnam Singh over. I thought he did a good job putting everybody over. I thought Jarrett's promo wasn't bad until the end. I don't hate him like you do, though. You really don't like him. I don't have that much of a passionate disdain against him. I certainly don't. I think he's successful enough in the wrestling industry where he's a Hall of Famer. So, I mean, I don't think he's as bad as, say, the Road Dogg.
Well, why would you say that?
All right. Well, let's get into it real quick. Road Dogg comes out and says this past week on his podcast, which I tried listening to, and it is nauseating how bad this podcast is. It's just two country dudes, and he's making stupid jokes that aren't funny. The guy literally thinks he's really entertaining. Dude, you've always sucked. You just had the really stupid wrestling fans repeat your fucking catchphrase. And he came out and he said that he was a better sports entertainer than Bret Hart. Now, the context of it, he said he was a Shawn guy. Shawn Michaels looked out for him the entire time. He also says he thinks that it's probably a work, talking about the Montreal screw job. He's one of those. And he says he's a better sports entertainer than Bret Hart. He said that's where the money is. Basically saying that he's more of a moneymaker than Bret Hart, I guess is what he was trying to say. Or he's just a better sports entertainer. Even if you go by, okay, Mike stuff, was he smoother on the mic than Bret Hart? Sure. But how many promos did Road Dogg, how many promos did you ever cut, Road Dogg, that anyone remembers anything past the ringleader bullshit that only stupid people chanted along to? Sorry. The people that chanted along that is the wrestling fan. I'm going to have to edit this out because we're alienating most of our fans. Just kidding. Our fans are smart. But there's a section of wrestling fans that are just icky. Those are the people that chanted along with Road Dogg's shit. Okay? And there was never one memorable moment that I remember that didn't involve someone else doing something much cooler. There was never a memorable promo where I thought, wow, that promo made me feel something. None of it. You are a slapstick wannabe comedic goofball who just got lucky coming out of a good family of good wrestlers. And you had a couple of people who were in Vince McMahon's ear in the mid-90s that put you over and put you with D-Generation X. Without that, buddy, you're probably not even alive. That was too much. Probably should have let off on that one. I'm really angry when you talk about Bret Hart.
That was dark.
Am I wrong? My daddy never loved me because I couldn't wrestle, but I can sports entertain, motherfucker. That's where the money is, Dad. That's why you never headline Starrcade or WrestleMania like me. Meanwhile, you never headlined fucking any relevant card. Unless The Rock or Stone Cold were in it. For some weird reason. Sorry.
How many pro wrestlers ever put Terry Funk in a dumpster?
With popcorn styrofoam popping all about. Oh my God, they fell right into styrofoam. It's hardcore. That's hardcore. That's hardcore. Mick Foley, by the way, love Mick Foley. He is one of the classiest cats on the planet. Check out his Facebook as well. I've been following him using our Facebook page as that profile. And wow, he is a fun read. Very introspective and grateful. Check out Mick Foley if you ever heard of him. He's a hardcore legend. Once got thrown off of the Hell in the Cell. Violently.
He's one of my favorites, man.
He's a great dude.
Great guy.
Great human being. Love him. And I remember when I met him once, we talked briefly and he just looked at me and said, "Thanks for coming. Take care." And it just meant a lot. The $25
sounds
I
very
paid for
polite.
the $25 for the picture that I no longer have was just a mere $25. But those words of wisdom never left me, Mick, and I thank you.
You have that story too, which is priceless.
Well, there you go. How many people can say that to tell you that story? He was dressed up as Mankind though at this time still, but he was still doing I think he was. It was before he won the championship, but it was right before he won the world championship for the first time. But Mr. Stocko is definitely starting to come out. It was fun. New Jersey, Princeton, New Jersey.
Did he tell you to have a nice day?
No, he said, "You're creeping me out, and my wife thinks you're perverted, and you're looking at her feet."
It sounds about right.
She wasn't even there, so that was a lie. Trying to do shock value. So that's what we got going on in AEW this week. I thought it was overall a great match to finish with Bryan Danielson and Sammy Guevara, and great finish to that. I like seeing Bryan Danielson get out there, but I'd like to see more of his character development right now. But he seems like he's kind of becoming a man on his own island. What's going to be going on with the Blackpool Combat Club? And what do you do at a Vladi Dottie?
It beats the hell out of me, honestly. I don't know what to do with those four. They're not cohesive. It's not like they're together. I mean, often one of them is out there on an island. Then they get their ass kicked by the Jericho Appreciation Society. Then they run out. They're just never there to begin with.
Yeah,
what does it take to get that?
They rarely run. Like, usually see factions rolling together. They rarely. When the hell does Moxley come out at all? When do they all come out? That never happens. So it's hard for us to believe that this faction is going a real far way. So I think it's going toward a shakeup. I think even though they're dead center in the middle of all the storylines, their world champion is in their faction, but I think for Blackpool Combat could really get to that next level as one of the best factions on the planet, they're going to need to shake things up a little bit coming up at Full Gear. And I think they do. Like I said before, I really think the best thing to do would be a double turn. And then you have Bryan Danielson turn babyface, and then you can really take the Blackpool Combat Club into some kind of more dastardly means. And stop fucking around with Jericho and his band of mid-carders. Like, come on now.
Thank you. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's enough Ring of Honor champions that Jericho can fuck with and have fun with them and not bring the Blackpool Combat Club, who's actually fighting for a prize that people actually really care about. I mean, the Ring of Honor title is not that prestigious right now outside of anybody who never watched Ring of Honor. There's no show. You have a pay-per-view once every couple months. That's it. There's nothing else going on with Ring of Honor yet. Ring of Honor is getting arguably just as much television time as AEW championships are. And it's just nauseating all the titles on here. I don't mind a lot of titles, but when you add a whole other company's group of titles, it's too much.
And it's so important, that world title, that the Ocho, that when I went to the Ring of Honor website today, they didn't even have him listed as the heavyweight champion.
Who's the current heavyweight champion on the website?
I'll have to double check, man, but Jericho's not even on it.
Is it still Josh Alexander or whoever the hell that was? Was it Claudio?
I forget the guy's name already.
Bandito?
That's not. It wasn't Claudio. It's like none of those. Bandito's on there. Jonathan Gresham's on there.
That's
so
who it was. Jonathan Gresham. That's who I meant. Sorry. Wrong guy. Yeah, I mean, there is a possibility that they're not doing anything with that website. And Tony Khan's like, fuck it. But I don't know. It's all good. I'm just glad to see AEW kind of getting some consistency. The Elite's coming back soon, too. So AEW's starting to pique my interest a bit more than they had previously over the last couple months, to be completely honest with you. So I'm looking forward to Full Gear happening this week. Again, check out our Full Gear pre-show where we go head-to-head, pick them, and kind of discuss some of the better things that we're going to be going into in AEW Full Gear coming up November 19th from fucking Newark, New Jersey, my dad's hometown. I used to buy cannabis there and sell nickel bags for dime bags at South Plainfield High School. What?
Wow. Quite the entrepreneur.
Yeah. I smoke most of the profit, though.